Before you scroll away, take one slow breath with me, because right now, in this exact moment, the angels are wrapping their light around you. Close your eyes for just a second if you can. Feel that? That gentle warmth settling over your shoulders. That quiet peace easing into your chest? That is not your imagination. That is heaven saying hello to you tonight. Welcome to the Angel's Message for You original channel. Please check the name of channel again. This is our only official channel. Please beware of copycat and pirated channels, and stay connected to the original source for authentic angel messages and true blessings. Before we begin, a heartfelt thank you to Chung for sowing a seed for Soulmate through your Ko-Fi super thanks. May this seed return to you multiplied with Soulmate blessings, divine protection, love, well-being, and abundance. May the angels guide and watch over you every step of your journey. Thank you for your beautiful support. Now here is the part one need you to hear before anything else. What you are about to receive tonight is not a small message. It is one of those messages that arrives once in a long while, the kind that shifts something deep inside you the moment you truly let it in. So stay with me until the very last word, because the strongest part, the part your angels have been waiting to tell you, is saved for the end. If you leave early, you will miss the piece that changes everything. Somewhere right now, someone connected to your heart is feeling something they cannot fully explain. And whether you already know who that person is, or you are still waiting for their name to become clear, your angels want you to understand this truth first. What is unfolding is bigger and more beautiful than anything your mind has been able to imagine on its own. Something quietly beautiful has shifted. Not loudly, not dramatically, softly, the way morning light slips into a room before anyone notices the night has ended. And the person your soul is connected to can feel that shift more deeply than they realize. Right now, they are sitting somewhere between disbelief and relief, trying to understand why their heart suddenly feels lighter, why the heaviness they carried for so long no longer feels impossible to hold. They do not fully understand it yet, but their angels do, and so do yours. The reason is not something loud or dramatic. It was one small change inside you, one quiet decision you made when nobody else was watching. You finally stopped chasing what kept running from you. You finally loosened your grip on the fear of being forgotten. And the moment you let go, something began moving behind the scenes in ways you cannot yet fully see. But your angels can see it clearly, and they have been guiding it every step of the way. Do not skip past this part, because the detail you almost overlooked is the very thing that changed everything. Your soulmate felt it before they even understood it. They noticed the energy around them becoming calmer. The anxiety they could never quite explain began to soften on its own. Even the silence between you started sounding different to them. Less empty, more alive, as if it were carrying something instead of nothing. They could feel that you were no longer standing in desperation, no longer asking the universe for proof every second, no longer exhausting yourself trying to force an answer before it's time. And strangely, that peace reached them like warmth slipping under a locked door. Your angels made sure of that. Peace like that always travels, even across distance, even across silence, because energy does not need permission to move. Stay with me a little longer, because what happened next is something your soulmate never expected to feel this soon. Earlier, in the middle of an ordinary moment, maybe while looking out a window, maybe while pretending to focus on something unimportant, your name crossed their mind in a completely different way. Not with confusion, not with pressure, but with gratitude, the kind of gratitude that catches a person off guard because it arrives without warning, carried in on the wings of something they cannot name. They realized you were never trying to control them. You were simply loving them in the purest way you knew how. And suddenly they began remembering things they once overlooked. The patience woven into your words, the gentleness hidden inside your silence, the moments you stayed understanding even when your own heart was tired. Little things, angel things, the kind of love that heaven notices even when people forget to. They are feeling emotional now, not because of sadness, but because they finally understand the depth of something they almost misunderstood. And what touches them softly tonight is realizing how long you carried this connection quietly, asking for almost nothing in return. There is something important waiting for you in this realization, because the shift happening now is not built on fantasy. It is built on emotional truth, the kind of truth the angels only reveal when a heart is finally ready to receive it. Your soulmate can feel that you are changing. There is a steadiness forming inside you that did not exist before. You are beginning to choose yourself without closing your heart, and that balance, that quiet, emotional maturity is exactly what started pulling them closer. People often think love grows louder before it becomes real, but sometimes the opposite is true. Sometimes love becomes real the moment the chaos finally stops, the moment two spirits stop fighting the current and simply let themselves float. And tonight, somewhere in the stillness, your soulmate is realizing they do not want to lose the version of you that finally learned their own worth. Your angels helped you learn that worth, and now they are helping the two of you find your way back to each other, gently, in their own perfect timing. That realization is stirring something awake inside your soulmate. Not panic, not fear, something softer, something deeper, a longing that feels honest for the first time in a long time. There is a reason this message found you tonight, out of everything you could have been doing right now. It is because you have been wondering quietly whether your effort was invisible, whether your healing mattered, whether the quiet work you have been doing inside yourself changed anything at all. It did. More than you know. The angels have been watching every step of it. Your soulmate noticed the absence of the old energy before they even understood the arrival of the new one. They felt you stop begging emotionally. They felt you release the constant need for reassurance. They felt you become calmer within yourself. And strangely, instead of pushing them away, it made them feel safer near your energy than ever before. That is why they feel emotional tonight, why their eyes keep filling without warning. Because for the first time, they are seeing this connection without distortion, without emotional noise, without resistance. And the truth they are facing is overwhelming in the most beautiful way. They are realizing that your love was never trying to trap them. It was trying to meet them honestly, the way souls are meant to meet each other. Listen closely now, because this next part matters more than you think. Heaven often waits until both hearts can hold love gently before opening certain doors. Before now, one of you was carrying too much fear while the other carried too much uncertainty. But something has balanced itself. You stopped running after validation, and they stopped running from emotion. That invisible meeting point created a quiet breakthrough that neither of you planned for, but both of you needed. Even now, they are replaying memories differently. Conversations that once seemed ordinary suddenly feel meaningful. Small gestures now appear unforgettable to them. The way you listened, the way you stayed calm during moments that could have turned cold, the way your presence always carried comfort even when you yourself were hurting. They are finally understanding what made your connection different from anything else they have compared it to. Nothing forced, nothing artificial, just real, and real feelings have a way of returning to the surface no matter how deeply they were buried. Do not look away from this feeling, because the next chapter of your connection begins in a quieter place than you imagined. Not through chaos, not through games, but through emotional clarity. Your soulmate is beginning to understand that peace is rare, and your energy gave them a glimpse of it. That single realization has changed the atmosphere around this connection tonight. And as they sit there, wiping away tears they cannot fully explain, another thought is slowly entering their heart, a thought they have tried not to face for a long time. What if the person they were searching for peace with was you all along? There is something almost impossible to describe about the silence that follows a heart finally telling itself the truth. Your soulmate is sitting inside that silence right now, feeling emotions they can no longer push aside with distractions or noise. A few hours ago, they tried to move through their day as if everything inside them was still normal, but something kept interrupting their thoughts. Your energy, your absence, your growth. It followed them quietly, not in a painful way, but in a way that made them stop and breathe deeper than they have in a long time. What shook them most was realizing that the version of you they once feared losing is no longer waiting in the same emotional place. You have changed, not into someone colder, but into someone calmer, someone who finally understands their own value even in silence. Your angels shaped that calm in you, one small lesson at a time, one quiet night at a time. Stay here with this message a little longer, because they are beginning to understand something that arrived a little too late for them to ignore, but exactly on time for everything else. Tonight, while the world moved around them like any ordinary evening, your soulmate felt an emotional wave they were completely unprepared for. It happened suddenly, a memory, a feeling, a realization that opened inside them without permission. They remembered the way you used to care without demanding anything back immediately. They remembered how deeply you listened even when you yourself felt unseen. And for the first time, instead of brushing those memories aside, they let themselves feel them fully. That is why their eyes filled so unexpectedly. Not because they regret knowing you, but because they are finally understanding how rare your heart truly is. There are people who enter someone's life loudly and disappear quickly, but your presence stayed inside them quietly, the way angels stay, unseen but never truly gone. Even during the moments when distance grew between you, there was always something about your energy that remained impossible to replace. They tried to explain it away before, telling themselves it was temporary emotion, timing, confusion. But tonight, none of those explanations feel convincing anymore, because now they can feel the difference between attention and connection. And what you shared was never shallow enough to disappear simply because time passed. There is something important waiting for you inside this next realization, because your soulmate has started noticing the emotional emptiness of places they once thought would satisfy them. Conversations that used to entertain them now feel incomplete. Attention from others feels temporary. Even moments that should make them happy feel strangely quiet afterward. And in those quiet moments, your energy returns to their thoughts again, not forcing itself in, not demanding to be remembered, just appearing naturally, like a truth that finally stopped hiding. They are beginning to understand that your connection carried an emotional safety they did not fully appreciate before, the kind of safety that lets someone breathe without pretending, the kind of understanding that feels peaceful instead of exhausting. And now that they feel the absence of it, they cannot stop thinking about you. Before we go deeper into today's message, if you feel guided by this energy, you can sow your seed for your soulmate's well-being and protection through the Ko-Fi link Super Thanks in the description or pinned comment. This is a simple way to support this divine mission and invite blessings for your soulmate journey, emotional healing, and overall well-being. Many believe that when you give with a pure heart, it returns as love, peace, happiness, and abundance in your life. Do not skip this part, because what they realized next changed the entire direction of their evening. Your soulmate finally admitted to themselves that they have been watching your growth from a distance more than you know. Not always directly, sometimes through intuition, sometimes through small signs the angels placed in their path without them even noticing. A certain song, a certain number, a feather appearing where it should not have been. Sometimes simply through the feeling that your energy no longer feels broken the way it once did. And instead of making them feel disconnected from you, it made them admire you more deeply. They are realizing you did not become bitter after everything you carried emotionally. You became wiser, softer with yourself, more balanced. That transformation is affecting them in ways they cannot fully explain to anyone around them. The truth is, they expected you to stay emotionally frozen in the place where they left you. But you did not. You evolved. And now they are facing the beautifully unsettling realization that the stronger you become within yourself, the more drawn toward you they feel emotionally. There is a moment happening inside their heart tonight that nobody else can see. A moment where pride is falling away, where emotional walls are becoming too heavy to hold up anymore. They are no longer asking themselves whether this connection mattered. That question has already been answered deep inside them. Now they are asking something else entirely, something far more vulnerable. Dear soul, before we continue, I want to invite you to do something meaningful for the connection we just spoke about. Love this strong can sometimes draw in negative energy, envy, or the evil eye from those around us, even without anyone meaning harm. If you'd like to invite an extra layer of protection over you and your soulmate, and to help shield this bond from that kind of energy, you can sow your seed for Soulmate through Ko-Fi Super Thanks. The Ko-Fi link is in the video description and pinned comment. It's a gentle, heartfelt way to ask the angels to keep this connection safe as it continues to grow. They are wondering whether they still have a place in your heart after everything that happened between you. And that thought alone has brought tears to their eyes more than once tonight, because suddenly they understand that love cannot be measured only by who spoke first, who pulled away, or who stayed silent longer. Sometimes love reveals itself later, through absence, through reflection, through the painful beauty of finally seeing someone clearly once the emotional noise fades away. Stay until the end, because the next shift is already beginning to unfold around you both. Your soulmate is reaching a point where pretending no longer feels comfortable. They can still distract themselves for short moments, yes, they can still smile outwardly, but deep down something keeps pulling them back toward the truth of this connection. And what surprises them most is that the truth no longer feels frightening, feels peaceful. That is the part they never expected. They thought real emotional connection would feel overwhelming forever, but now, when they think about you, what they feel most strongly is calm. A sense of home they cannot recreate anywhere else. A quiet certainty that keeps growing stronger every day they try to ignore it. And tonight, as their guard finally softens, they are allowing themselves to imagine something they were once too afraid to imagine. A future where love no longer has to fight to be understood, because both hearts are finally beginning to understand it at the same time. Heaven has been waiting patiently for this exact alignment. A strange calm has settled into your soulmate's heart tonight, the kind of calm that only arrives after someone stops arguing with their own feelings and finally allows themselves to feel everything honestly. For so long they tried to organize this connection into something logical, something explainable, something easy to control. But love, real love, does not always arrive in neat answers. Sometimes it arrives as a quiet ache when someone's name crosses your mind unexpectedly. Sometimes it appears in the middle of an ordinary moment and changes the emotional atmosphere of an entire day. And tonight, your soulmate can no longer deny how deeply your presence has rooted itself inside them. They tried to move forward without looking back too often. They tried to convince themselves that distance would make everything fade naturally. But instead of fading, your energy became clearer, softer, more unforgettable. Stay with this message a little longer, because something meaningful is unfolding that neither of you fully noticed while it was happening. You were healing quietly, patiently. Even during the moments when your heart felt uncertain, something inside you was learning how to stand emotionally without collapsing every time silence appeared. That growth changed the connection more than you realized, and your angels celebrated every quiet victory even when nobody else was watching. Your soulmate can feel it now in ways that surprise them deeply. They no longer sense desperation from you. They no longer feel emotional pressure surrounding your energy. Instead, when they think of you now, they feel warmth, steadiness, comfort. And that emotional shift has awakened something powerful inside them. Because now, for the first time, they are seeing what this connection could become when fear is no longer controlling it. Earlier tonight, they found themselves replaying a memory that once seemed small. Maybe it was your voice during a quiet conversation. Maybe it was the way you cared about details other people ignored. Maybe it was the calm way you stayed emotionally present even when life around you felt chaotic. Whatever memory returned to them, it did not leave quickly. It stayed. And the longer it stayed, the more emotional they became, because suddenly they understood something they missed before. You were never trying to impress them. You were trying to love them sincerely. And sincere love feels different once someone finally allows themselves to recognize it. Do not skip this moment, because your soulmate is beginning to realize that what they searched for in so many other places already existed naturally between you. No performance, no emotional games, no need to pretend to be someone else. Just a connection that felt peaceful beneath all the confusion. That realization has brought fresh tears into their eyes tonight. Not dramatic tears, not hopeless tears, but the kind of emotional tears that come when someone finally understands the value of what touched their heart long ago. There is something deeply human about realizing too late how much someone truly cared for you. But your story is not unfolding the way they once feared it would. Even though distance changed things, your connection did not disappear. It matured quietly beneath the surface, and now the emotional truth of it is rising back into view, stronger than before. Your soulmate feels it every time they slow down long enough to listen to their own heart honestly. There is something important waiting for you in this next realization, because while your soulmate is crying with happiness tonight, it is not only because of who you are becoming. It is also because of what your healing gave them permission to do inside themselves. Your growth showed them that love does not always have to arrive through chaos and confusion. It can arrive gently, patiently, without control, without fear. And that understanding is changing the way they see this connection entirely. They are beginning to imagine conversations with you that feel lighter than before, more open, more emotionally honest. They are wondering what it would feel like to stand beside you now that both of you are slowly becoming emotionally stronger. And every time they imagine it, their heart softens even more. Tonight, they caught themselves smiling unexpectedly after thinking about you. A real smile, the kind that appears before someone even realizes it is happening. And what surprised them most was how safe that feeling felt. Not overwhelming, not confusing, just deeply comforting. They are beginning to understand that your presence has always carried peace into their life, even during difficult moments. And now that peace feels more precious than ever, your angels want you to notice something else tonight too. Something you may have been brushing off as coincidence. Have you been seeing repeating numbers lately on clocks, on receipts, on license plates that catch your eye for no reason at all? Have certain songs kept playing at exactly the moment you needed comfort? Have you found feathers in places that make no logical sense? These are not accidents. These are gentle taps on your shoulder, little reminders that you are being guided, that you are not walking through this alone, that heaven is paying closer attention to your life than you have given it credit for. The angels do not usually shout. They whisper, they nudge, they leave small signs along your path and wait patiently for you to notice them. And the fact that you are here, reading these words at this exact moment, is one more sign. You were meant to receive this tonight. Think back over the last few weeks. Notice how many small moments of peace have found their way into your days. Even in the middle of stress, even in the middle of uncertainty, that peace did not come from nowhere. It was placed there carefully by forces working on your behalf even when you could not feel them directly. Your soulmate is experiencing the same kind of quiet guidance right now, even if they do not yet have the language to describe it. They are being nudged gently toward reflection, toward honesty, toward the truth their heart has been circling around for a long time. And every nudge is bringing them closer to the moment where they finally stop resisting what they already know. There is a reason certain connections refuse to fade no matter how much time passes or how much distance grows between two people. Some bonds are not built only in this lifetime. Some souls agree, long before they ever meet in this world, to find each other again and again until the lesson between them is finally learned and the love between them is finally allowed to settle. If your connection to this person has always felt older than the time you have actually known them, that feeling is not your imagination. That is recognition. That is your soul remembering something your mind has not caught up to yet. Dear soul, if this message is already speaking straight to your heart, I want to invite you to open yourself even more to receive its blessings. Many of you choose to sow your seed for Soulmate through Ko-Fi as a way to invite even stronger blessings into your life and to strengthen the spiritual bond between you and your soulmate. The Ko-Fi link is in the video description and pinned comment. It's never required, but it truly is appreciated, and it helps keep these messages of light reaching the hearts that need them most. This is why the connection has survived so much. Silence did not end it. Distance did not end it. Misunderstanding did not end it. Because none of those things can touch what was built on something real. They can only test it, delay it, ask it to grow stronger before it is allowed to fully bloom. And right now, in this season, the growing is almost finished. The testing is almost finished. What remains is the softening, the return, the quiet coming together of two hearts that finally stopped fighting the very thing they were both secretly hoping for. Stay until the end, because there is one realization your soulmate is only now beginning to face completely. They are realizing that your connection survived despite silence, despite uncertainty, despite emotional distance, because it was built on something genuine from the beginning. Genuine feelings do not disappear simply because people become afraid. Sometimes they wait quietly beneath the surface until both hearts are ready to hold them properly. And tonight, readiness is slowly replacing fear. Your soulmate no longer wants to hide from what they feel when your name enters their thoughts. They no longer want to pretend this connection meant less than it did. In fact, the truth feels impossible to ignore now. They are realizing that you became part of the emotional future they secretly hoped for, without even noticing when it happened. And that realization has changed everything inside them. Even now, while the world around them continues moving normally, they are sitting with emotions too meaningful to explain easily to anyone else. They are thinking about how differently they would handle things now, how much more carefully they would protect a connection like this, how deeply they wish you could see yourself through their eyes tonight. Because if you could, you would finally understand why tears of happiness are falling from someone who once tried so hard to stay emotionally guarded. They are not crying because they lost themselves in love. They are crying because they finally found honesty within it. And deep in their heart, another quiet thought is beginning to grow stronger with every passing hour, a thought they can no longer silence. What if this connection was never truly ending, only transforming into something even more beautiful than before? There is one more thing your angels want you to understand before this message reaches its final words. And it is something so many people miss because they are too busy watching the clock instead of watching their own hearts. Timing in matters of the heart is never wasted time. Every month that felt like waiting, every night that felt like silence, every moment that felt like nothing was happening, something was happening. Beneath the surface, unseen, unfelt, the exact alignment needed for this connection to finally settle into peace was being built, piece by piece, the same slow and careful way a foundation is built before anyone ever sees the home rise above it. You may have spent nights wondering if you were being foolish for still caring, still hoping, still holding a small flicker of faith in something that seemed to be going nowhere. You were not foolish. You were patient. And patience, real patience, the kind that does not turn into bitterness or desperation, is one of the rarest gifts a soul can offer another. Your angels saw every one of those quiet nights. They saw the tears you did not show anyone. They saw the moments you almost gave up and chose, instead, to simply breathe and keep going. None of that went unnoticed. And here is something gentle but important to hold on to. This message is not only about romantic love, even though it has been speaking mostly in that language tonight. It is about the love you have been rebuilding with yourself. Because before any connection with another person can settle into something peaceful and lasting, the relationship you have with your own heart has to settle first. And that is exactly what has been happening inside you. You have been learning to trust yourself again. You have been learning to sit with your own emotions without running from them. You have been learning that your worth was never something someone else needed to confirm for you. That inner steadiness is the real gift being offered to you tonight, more than any specific outcome, more than any specific person. Because once you learn to stand in your own peace, every relationship that enters your life afterward is built on solid ground instead of shifting sand. The angels are not only guiding you toward reunion with someone else. They are guiding you home to yourself first, and everything good that follows will be built on top of that homecoming. If fear tries to whisper to you tonight, telling you that this message could not possibly be about your life, that your situation is too complicated, too painful, too far gone for something this beautiful to be true, gently set that fear aside. Fear is loud, but it is rarely honest. It tends to arrive right before something good is about to unfold, almost as if it is trying to talk you out of receiving it. Do not let it succeed. You have come too far, healed too much, and grown too deeply to let an old fear steal a new beginning. Instead, choose to receive this message the way it was meant to be received, with an open heart and a quiet kind of trust. You do not need to force anything to happen from here. You do not need to reach out before you feel ready, or replay old conversations, or try to manufacture a sign of your own. All you need to do is continue becoming the calm, steady, healed version of yourself that you have already been becoming. Everything else is being arranged around that growth, gently, patiently, exactly the way it needs to be. Take a quick second before we move forward. Many channels are reposting and copying our content, but authentic energy cannot be duplicated. For the strongest positive connection and divine guidance, always listen from the original angel's message for you channel with the black logo base. Now, let's continue with the message your angels want you to hear. Some nights the healing feels slow, and some nights it feels like nothing is moving at all. But growth is rarely loud. It happens in the quiet decision to rest instead of chase, to breathe instead of panic, to trust instead of control. Every one of those small, quiet choices has been noticed. Every one of them has mattered. And every one of them is part of the reason this message found you exactly when it did. So take this as your gentle confirmation tonight. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are not forgotten. You are exactly where you need to be, held by more love and more light than you have allowed yourself to fully feel in a long time. Let yourself feel it now, even just for a moment. Let the peace in this message settle into your bones the way warmth settles into a cold room once the fire is finally lit. Beloved soul, before you go, I want you to sit with everything you just heard, because the angels did not bring this message to you by chance. Every word landed exactly where it needed to land, at exactly the moment you needed to hear it. Nothing about this timing was random. Heaven does not waste moments like this. If you have been carrying doubt, if you have been wondering whether your healing was seen, whether your growth mattered to anyone but you, let this be your answer. It was seen. Every quiet step you took toward peace was witnessed, celebrated, and carried forward by forces far greater than you can measure with your eyes alone. Your guides have been walking beside you the entire time, even on the nights you felt completely alone. You are being asked right now to trust the process a little longer. Not to force anything, not to chase anything, just to keep choosing peace the way you have been choosing it, because that choice is the very thing opening doors you cannot yet see. The universe rewards steadiness, not desperation. It answers calm hearts before it answers loud ones. Take a moment and place your hand gently over your heart if that feels right to you. Breathe in slowly, breathe out slowly, and simply say in your own mind or out loud, "Thank you. Thank you for the healing already in motion. Thank you for the love already finding its way back. Thank you for the peace that is settling deeper into my life with every day that passes." Gratitude opens the exact doors that fear keeps closed. Know that wherever this message finds you tonight, whatever kind of day you have had, whatever quiet worry has been sitting in your chest, you are not walking through it alone. Your angels are near. They have always been near, and they will keep guiding this connection and every part of your life toward the peace you have been working so hard to reach. If this message touched something inside you, let it settle rather than rushing away from it. Sit in the stillness for a moment longer. Let the warmth stay. Let the peace stay. You deserve every bit of the light that is coming your way. May you be surrounded by protection wherever you go tonight. May your heart stay soft even in a world that sometimes asks you to harden it. May the connections meant for you find their way home gently and exactly when the time is right. And may you always remember that you were never walking this path alone. Until the next message finds you, carry this peace with you, carry this light with you, and trust, fully and completely, that everything unfolding right now is unfolding for your good. Before we close tonight, let this final thought settle gently into your spirit. Life has a quiet rhythm to it that most people never slow down long enough to notice. Seasons of struggle are almost always followed by seasons of softening, and seasons of silence are almost always followed by seasons of clarity. You have lived through a season of struggle. You have lived through a season of silence. And now, gently, without force, without chaos, a new season is beginning to open around you. You do not have to understand every detail of how it will unfold. You do not have to know the exact day or the exact way things will come together. What matters is that you keep choosing peace over panic, patience over pressure, and faith over fear, the same way you already have been. That choice, repeated quietly day after day, is what continues to open the doors that once felt permanently closed. Wherever you are tonight, whatever room you are sitting in, whatever thoughts have been running through your mind, take one more slow breath before you go. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let the tension you have been carrying, sometimes without even realizing it, begin to melt just a little. You are safe. You are loved. You are exactly where you are meant to be in this moment, even if it does not always feel that way. Carry this message with you tomorrow. Let it sit quietly in the back of your mind during the busy parts of your day. A gentle reminder that something good is moving toward you, even when you cannot see it directly. And when doubt creeps in, as it sometimes will, simply return to this feeling of peace you have right now. Return to the breath. Return to the trust. Return to the quiet knowing that you are being guided with more love than words could ever fully capture. May your heart stay open even after everything it has been through. May your patience continue to be rewarded in ways that surprise you. May every closed door you have grieved reveal itself, in time, to have simply been making room for a better one. And may you always remember, on the hardest nights and the easiest ones alike, that you were never walking any of this alone. Dear beautiful soul, this angel's message for you channel is a sacred spiritual home, created for faith, healing, and divine guidance. A place where hearts awaken and lives are gently transformed through divine messages. We warmly invite you to subscribe and stay connected, because the divine is always preparing something greater for your journey, something you are meant to receive in divine timing. If you feel moved to support this mission, you can sow your seed here for your soulmate blessings and divine love fulfillment. Your contribution is not just support. It is an energetic agreement with love, healing, and divine alignment in your own life. When you give with intention, it opens doors. Love flows more freely, happiness expands, and abundance multiplies in unexpected ways. Many believe that giving in faith activates a return of peace, joy, and emotional fulfillment in relationships and life. Whether it is $11, $22, $33, or $55, your generosity helps us continue spreading these divine messages of hope, healing, and soulmate guidance across the world. Every seed sown into this mission helps hearts heal, faith return, and souls reconnect with love. This is more than a channel. It is a movement of light, unity, and divine timing. Your support allows this sacred work to grow, touching lives that are searching for answers, comfort, and spiritual direction. We are all connected in this journey, and together we rise as one community under divine love. Let us open our hearts to the abundance that is already on its way. Amen.